5-star copies all. Go ahead. Message to observer. Alpha 3 rounds. AT delay in effect. 3 guns. Bravo 2 rounds. 2 guns. Smoke on effect.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Andrew from the Options Millionaire community, and today we're going to be diving into the software called Bookmap, more specifically, an indicator that they offer called Icebergs. We're going to be talking about what they are, how to identify them, and how I use them to gain a trading edge. I am a partner of Bookmap and trust their products very, very much. I add very little bit to my system, and one of those absolutely is Bookmap. It can help you gain an edge on the order flow. So what is an iceberg? The technical definition of an iceberg is subtype of limit orders where only part of the order can be visible to other market participants via market data. Iceberg orders extend irregular limit orders by having additional properties such as buy or sell, limit price, time in force, quantity, or simply maximum displayed size, or the tip of the iceberg. You're only seeing a very small quantity, which looks like tip of the iceberg.
Iceberg, right ahead!
Now, why would I want to track this information? Well, because the people using these icebergs are very large players, usually institutions or maybe an individual that has a very, very large brokerage. And we all know big players love to manipulate the market to skew the data in a way that's going to benefit their positions. Icebergs are a way for them to hide a good portion of their orders while not tipping their hand. And before we move on here, if you want to know more about the Iceberg Indicator in depth, you can head over to the Bookmap knowledge base. Link is down in the description of this video. You can learn more about icebergs or any other indicator that Bookmap offers. And now I'm going to show you how I go about identifying them and utilizing them in my trading. So what you're looking at right here is the Bookmap software. We're going back to this day of May 28th, 2024. The Iceberg Indicator, to point out, is this little blue line here with the 174 number next to it. Now that number is just the quantity of icebergs. This will change based on the influx or outflow of the icebergs hitting the tape. Now when I'm watching for icebergs here, I'm going to watch for them coming on the tape or off the tape, how many they are and how big the quantities are. Just like all other indicators, if there's just a couple of very small icebergs, I'm not really going to pay attention to them. They don't really mean much to me. However, when I see one come on there, I'm going to see how does it fluctuate. Does it start to increase in size? Does it start to inflate like a balloon, getting bigger and bigger and bigger? Because that's going to tell me that there's going to be some generalized market movement coming pretty soon. Or do I see a number of icebergs coming on the tape? 6, 7, 8 different icebergs. Now we can go a couple of days or even weeks without seeing any major iceberg movement. But typically when I see very large movement come on, that means that we're getting ready to move. And that's when I start kind of sitting up in my chair and being ready for a little bit of volatility. Now what we're looking at here is May 28th, 2024. Now the session before and the overnight session had been pretty bullish and we were going into a resistance. And right here at 10:05 Eastern, 9:05 Central, we have our first iceberg of the day come up. Normally, not that big a deal. It's only 174. That's pretty small. So now I'm watching. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit play here and show you what I'm looking for. When I see this come on, remember, I'm looking either for a large quantity of icebergs or an inflation of a single iceberg. And you see right off the bat, that thing goes from 174 to 1,000. That's a very, very large iceberg. And it's a very aggressive iceberg that quickly inflates. So what I'm seeing here is as the price action climbs into this iceberg, which is a upper sell side iceberg, and then now it pops and transacts finally at 3,000. With a 3,000 size sell side iceberg on the tape, I'm going to expect at least some sort of pullback. However, I'm still going to watch for additional icebergs to really gain confidence. But here's what the chart looks like for this session. So this was May 28th. This is the 5-minute candles on ES contracts. And we see the price action transacted right into that iceberg right here at 9:20 Central, 10:20 Eastern time. So for me, I'm making note of that. It was a very tight price action today. The price action only went from a 53.86 to about 53.93. We're only talking about 5 to 7 points worth of range here. It's not that much, very tight days. So I'm not trading that until I get some sort of volatility break, which the icebergs are noting that we will get. Let's press forward and see what happens. All right, so we're going forward about 40 minutes after the first 3,000 quantity iceberg filled right here. And you see that we do have a couple of other icebergs coming on the tape. We had this one at 370 quantity fill. We had this one 200 fill. And now we've got this little 75 quantity that's just hanging out there, hasn't been filled yet. So I'm going to hit play here, and you see, just like the prior 3,000, it comes up and attacks it right here, and it immediately begins to inflate. So it started out at 75, and now it has increased up to 635 as the buyers start to press into the resistance. A lot of that iceberg starts to hit the tape. And we see, just like the last 3,000, it comes up, transacts into the 3,000 area again, and now we have two very, very, very large icebergs on the tape, 3,000, 3,000. That tells me that once again, the sellers are selling into this resistance and we're getting ready for a turn down as we now have two very large sell side icebergs on the tape. Now remember, a little bit of a refresher here. The reason why these are so important is because these are hidden orders. These icebergs are hidden from the actual quantity of the total executed orders that they're on the tape, that the iceberg indicates that there's a difference between the total quantity executed and the quantity presented on the book, which shows intention. And that's the key word there, motivation and intention. Now, what I do is now I start to base into my VPA. So I take this information, I go to my charts, and I start looking for volume price action indications that we could potentially be looking for a downturn. If I see a plenty of top wicks into resistance with any kind of volume, then I can really tie this data in here and have confidence in taking a short entry or just getting out of any kind of long entries. So that second 3000 iceberg filled right here on that candle right there. So now we have one fill here. We had one fill here. Now, mind you, this is only 2 points worth of movement on ES, which is very, very tight. But it does show you that as the market creeps higher, it's starting to transact into major supply. Now, there are two events that occur here coming up next that make this an actionable downside short position. One, we have yet another large 3000 quantity iceberg hit the tape. Right here at 11:23 Central, 12:23 Eastern Time, they build and inflate to another 3000 iceberg and transacted at the same levels as the prior one. And two, we have what I call a selling climax. Now, this is derivative of the Wyckoff method, if you're familiar with the Wyckoff, and Anna Colling's volume price analysis teachings. It's where we have one final upthrust by the buyers into supply, followed by an immediate aggressive downside rejection by the sellers. So with the iceberg coupled in with a selling climax, that says you're about ready to start entering a short position for some downside. Now, what happens a couple of minutes later? The market sells off from 53.93 down to 53.62, which is a 31-point move. Very, very nice move for a downside position on ES. So as you can see from this one example is that the iceberg indicator can be incredibly powerful when coupled with a strong technical system. Being able to observe the icebergs when you otherwise wouldn't be able to access that data unless you had full market depth data like market buy orders or MBO is a fantastic resource that you can add to your system. I could go on and show you additional examples, but I think you get the point. Instead, what I'm going to do is show you how to set it up and what settings I use to accurately present the data on your chart. So firstly, you do need access to the MBO data package on Bookmap. So if you do have Bookmap, you'll have to sign up for the MBO package and then download the stops and icebergs on chart and subchart indicator. You do this by going to the Bookmap website, heading up to the top right where it says add-ons, then going to the left side and clicking on stops and icebergs subchart or on chart indicator, then going to the bottom of the menu here where it says installation, and then following the prompts to download the executable file for the add-on. Side note, this is also where you can read more about the intricacies of each individual indicator, the subchart and on-chart indicator, so you can better tailor it to fit your own experience. Then once you download the file, you head over to Bookmap, go to Settings, go on down to Configure Add-ons, scroll to the bottom, click Add, and that'll bring up your File Explorer. You select the downloaded file that you just downloaded from Bookmap, and it will show up here in your list of add-ons. Now, obviously, I have a bunch of add-ons. I'm a partner affiliate of Bookmap. And once you have the add-on uploaded, you will make sure the boxes are checked so the indicator will be active. Once it is checked, you then go into these menus and you adjust the indicator based on what you want to see. The main thing you will want to adjust is the size of the indicator values. So you don't want to be notified for anything small like 1 or 2. However, you do want to be notified of anything larger like 1,000 and 3,000. If you click this little down arrow, it'll bring up the specificity of the visual settings. And I have mine set to a 200 minimum value right here, meaning any iceberg value less than 200 will not even show up on my chart. I don't like to be notified of anything less than 200 because there's going to be way too many notifications on the screen, and 200 seems to be a good balance between something starting to grow large that I need to be aware of it. However, although 200 works for me, play around with it and see what you can use for your own personal settings that works for you. You can also adjust the color as well. I like the blue of the icebergs, kind of goes with the ice theme, but you can change that as well. Learn how to add the icebergs to your chart because I guarantee you there's not a better indicator out there than this one in terms of giving you something that you don't already have. Icebergs don't work every single day because they usually don't present a large amount of icebergs every day, but when they do, they're almost unbeatable in terms of the accuracy of the indicator. If you have access to the Bookmap Discord server, I do post in my channel in that server when we do have a large iceberg just to show how accurate they can be, but they'll tip you off to major volatility, which is a key point of short-dated trading. But that's icebergs in a nutshell. This is a very groundwork video on icebergs. We talked about what they were, how I use them and apply them, what to look for, and then of course how to set it up. If you have any more questions, please let me know. Hit me up at optionsmillionaire2020@gmail.com. Of course, you can come over and join my Discord server, which is the Options Millionaire Discord server. We do use Bookmap heavily in that server and on my Monday, Wednesday, Friday live streams on YouTube. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. Until next time, I'm out. See ya!